You can visit Asia, the Middle East, the US, Brazil. You can go on an adventure. You can explore cities, be dropped into a jungle. You can get insights from the most richest, the most intelligent, the most knowledgeable people on the planet, and you can all do that within the comfort of your own home, just with the flick of a page. If you're a past bookworm like me, who's kind of fallen off the wagon when it comes to reading, or you're someone who's not really been into books altogether, this is the video for you to get you back into the groove of reading. Hi everyone, my name is Rhoda and I'm a doctor working in the UK. So as you can see from the video, I really want to talk about how to be able to read more. I was a bookworm who used to read 3, 4, 5 books a week. And over the last few years, I've kind of fallen off the wagon when it comes to reading, where I've not really read as much as I wanted to. But over the last year or so, I've managed to get myself back into the reading habit again. And I wanted to go through a few things that have really helped me kind of get back into that habit of reading. Little side note, what do you think of my little setup to reflect the literary theme of this video? Can you see? If you want, you can pause the video actually and get some ideas from what Rhoda's been reading recently. Anyway, I've got these books all off the shelf upstairs, and it took me like 3 or 4 trips to stack all of these books. So purely for that effort, guys, please like the video. I think we all know the benefits of reading, and I could literally go on forever if I was to list every single benefit there is. I can't even think of any negatives actually when it comes to reading. And despite us knowing that, I think a lot of us do struggle with putting book reading into our kind of daily habits. I think I'm not the only one when it comes to making so many excuses to not being able to read. I don't have time, I don't have the attention span for reading anymore, there's nothing out there that I really like, my library card has expired, my library has closed down. And a little side note, libraries are closing at a rapid pace, and if you're going to start reading purely for altruistic reasons, read so your local library doesn't get closed down. Let's talk about a few of the benefits. I think we all know what the benefits are, but let's just kind of recap it again. It allows you to be able to experience different perspectives from different people without ever having to leave your home. It can widen your vocabulary, it can increase your emotional intelligence, so being able to empathize with people who may not be in the same situation as you. It can improve your general knowledge. For me personally, it's been about reducing stress after a really long day, kind of winding down. Let's start with the first tip, and that is start little and work your way up. What I mean by that is when I kind of went through that phase of not reading for a long time, and then I suddenly got this burst of motivation to be like, right, I'm going to start reading now. And I literally bought like 10 books off Amazon and told myself I'm going to read this over the next few months, and I've given myself a deadline to be able to do that. And lo and behold, I did not get through probably even one of those books because I set my goals way too high. So when you want to get back into that groove of reading again, start really little, like ridiculously little, maybe like a page a day. And you'll realize without even noticing that you're starting to read more. So you're going from 1 page to 2 pages to 3 pages, or from 5, 10, 15 minutes. So really start small, and give yourself literally the most ridiculously achievable goal that is going to be so difficult to not get through. The next one is turn it into a habit. So for me, the problem was I wasn't prioritizing my reading into my daily routine. So what I do now is I always set aside time in the evening just before I go to bed to read for like half an hour or an hour. And in that way, I've now begun to associate going to bed with reading. And I'm kind of hitting 2 birds with 1 stone here, because one, I'm winding down from like a really busy day, and it's going to promote much better sleep than if I was just scrolling through Instagram for like an hour and the blue light is going to stop me from going to sleep. And also I'm getting my reading time in. Turn the book reading into like a habit. So you're doing it at a specific time that you now know, right, I'm going to go read. So then it becomes less of a chore and it becomes more of an enjoyable experience as well. The next one is forget about book loyalty. And what I mean by that is, and I'm probably not the only one who does this actually, is once I've started reading a book, I feel as though I have to commit myself to finishing it from cover to cover. No. Now what I do is I literally read multiple books all at once. So I'll be reading a thriller and I kind of get tired of the genre. I'm like, oh, I'm kind of in the mood for a more uplifting book. So I'll carry on reading my, I don't know, romance novel. And then I'm not in the mood for that. So I really want to read something a bit more gritty. And then I'll read, I don't know, finish Gone Girl off or something. So reading multiple books should not be a stigma. I mean, we all watch multiple TV shows. You're watching one show, you're watching a drama, next day you're watching a comedy, tomorrow you're watching a horror. It's all about varying up a bit. It kind of reduces the chances of you destining that book that you're kind of getting tired of to the did not finish shelf. So reading multiple books is the way forward. Kind of brings me into my next tip, which is there is no book police out to get you. So stay with me for a second. And what I mean by that is when you start reading a book and it's been recommended or your friends given it to you or whatever, and you're not really enjoying it, but you're forcing yourself to finish it because you've now committed to this book. No, we don't have time for this. I had a policy of if a book has not grabbed my attention within the first 100 pages, that's it. I'm going to give up on it. And I don't feel guilty about it anymore. I used to feel guilty. I used to feel like I failed. I used to feel like I've given up on it. I'm not a good reader. No, we don't have the luxury of time to kind of troll through a book purely just to finish it when you're not enjoying it. Because at the end of the day, we read to enjoy, we read to escape reality, we read to kind of immerse ourselves in a really interesting world. So why continue reading? Don't turn it into a high school experience where you've been forced to read, I don't know, like Of Mice and Men, and you really don't like it, but you have to because you need to get the grade for it. The next one is track your progress. And in that way, you can see the number of books that you've read. And I use Goodreads for that. And it's a really, really good app/website because it allows you to finish the book and then you can virtually put it on the finished shelf or the read shelf. And it's kind of like a little burst of motivation every time you've completed that book and you've put it on the shelf to help me read the next book. So using Goodreads has really, really helped me measure my progress, and it also keeps me accountable. And the really good thing about it is you can get your friends to follow you. So then you can recommend books to each other, watch what other people are reading. You can make friends with other people who kind of have similar tastes to you. So it's a really nice little community, actually. And it allows you to measure your progress as well. I've linked my Goodreads profile in the description below, so have a look so you can see what I've been reading. And if you feel like it, you can follow me as well. So the next one is using different mediums to read. So if you're getting sick of reading a physical copy of a book, use your phone. There's a Kindle app on there or iBooks. Instead of scrolling through Instagram, just quickly flicking through the apps and going onto the Kindle app, or using an actual Kindle. Honestly, this is the best investment you can make when it comes to your reading. The Kindle is not just reading, it's also, you can highlight certain lines that really stick out to you. You can track the progress in terms of what you're reading. And this is probably may or may not be a good thing, but it literally takes like 2 clicks to buy a book. So that can be a little bit risky. And the other one, which is a little bit controversial, is audiobooks. I've not really ever been into audiobooks, but recently I've been using Audible to download a few books. I've been able to read whilst I've been walking or, doing the household chores or whatever. And then that way you're still reading. If someone tells you listening to an audiobook is not reading, what is reading in general? Reading is about immersing yourself in a new world, learning about new characters, watching plots progress. And that all happens with an audiobook as well. The next one may seem painfully obvious, but that is read books that you enjoy reading and not reading books because you feel as though you have to read those to procure a certain image or curate your bookshelf to look really aesthetic or whatever. Unfortunately, in the literary world, there is a lot of snobbery around certain books that people read, and books make you more intellectual. Some books make you look very, if you're really into classics or Renaissance, that means you must be very, very well cultured. But if you read things like romance novels, then you'll basically have really lowbrow taste. Went through this already, and I'm preventing you guys from falling into that trap, which is I try to force myself to read classics. The usual, like Pride and Prejudice, Great Expectations. And I found myself not really enjoying it as much as I wanted to, but I felt as though I still had to get through the book to be able to say, yeah, I've read it. At the end of the day, just read because you enjoy reading. Just read what you like to read. If that is a trashy romance novel on a Monday morning, go for it. Because before you know it, you're turning into a chore. And when something becomes a chore, it becomes painful. When it becomes painful, you're less likely to go into doing it again. And before you know it, your book reading progress has slumped. It's very liberating not to be choked by the noose of social conformity. Read what you want, whatever it may be. The last but not least, is to kind of immerse yourself and drum up that motivation is there's a lot of book channels on YouTube, so booktubers. Following those can give you a lot of recommendations and tips in terms of how to read better and what kind of books to read. You know, on your Instagram, for example, if you're someone who spends a lot of time on Instagram and their screen time is ridiculously high, you can start curating your explore page to reflect books. So following bookstagrammers or book pages and things like that can really help get that book going. Anyway, guys, that's everything. I hope that was useful, and I hope that once you've clicked off this video, you'll be diving into the next book. If you found this helpful in any way, please like the channel, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.